What's up, guys? It's Bo Gingin here. Yeah, how you doing? Today's entry is going to be on how do I become more sensitive, right? Because I've been pushing this idea onto you guys about how sensitivity is important, how like kind of energy is something that we should consider. We should kind of put down logic, from time to time and focus on what's going on in the rest of us. And like just as a kind of before we get into it, like I'm kind of feeling a bit woozy, so we'll see how this goes. I was kind of like thinking maybe I should postpone this, but I just I thought I'm here, I might as well get the video out, so just fuck it, right? So okay. So let's say that you've watched my previous videos about sensitivity and you don't necessarily understand or appreciate it, but you're intrigued as to what this actually will do for you, because I've given you a lot of kind of theory. I've kind of hold on, give me a sec. Yep, recording. I've given you kind of like a lot of my own perspective on why it's important, but it might not necessarily have translated onto you. So yeah, I just want to basically elaborate on what I mean by energy, and try to elaborate on it so that you come to an appreciation of, a better appreciation of what it will do for you personally in your life and how it can improve your life and your circumstances. But I encourage you to basically approach this with an open mind. So hopefully, if you've watched my previous videos, you've already got an open mind on this. So even if you don't fully appreciate what I'm saying, you have that open-mindedness. Like you're like, okay, well, perhaps this is something I can give a shot. Like, I can give it a try. And so, how do I go about that? Like, you might have seen in my previous videos, like some of the ones where I've done two. The Lego Mobo ones, yeah, like those ones are basically designed to show you what you can, like, it's like a very kind of crude, but like primal, like, barbaric, you could say, way of tapping into your energy. So basically unstifling yourself and letting that energy flow happen. But essentially, so that's a very good way. And again, I encourage you to do that kind of thing. Catharsis is a good way to tap into your sensitivity. And again, I emphasize open-mindedness. So even if you're not someone who is like very sensitive, you might be kind of very logical. I encourage you to basically don't pin yourself down, don't pigeonhole yourself as being that kind of person. Keep an open mind and see, and I assure you that it will basically be very valuable. If not just a very, I'm sure, it will be a very valuable experience for you, but like, at the very least it will be kind of interesting and embarrassing, but then, you've got like this funny reference point, like, to look back on, right? But, another thing is to basically look at what you love. So this includes your, ooh, the sun's coming out. This includes your passions, your hobbies, your interests, anything that you enjoy. Do more of it, and hopefully, you've got something that you actually enjoy. Everyone's got stuff that they enjoy, right? And basically start leading into that. And as you basically prioritize like your joy more in this fashion, so you basically start doing more things you like. You start playing more sports, you start playing more video games, you start whatever it is, there's no judgment, just do that thing. And then the more you do those things, the more you will realize that basically you have your kind of defaults. You'll notice like a commonality in kind of your feeling state as you basically do all of these things, right? So basically, the key is to do these things, and then slowly, you'll kind of notice a change in your default state of feeling. So like the more you do things that you enjoy, the more you just kind of feel this feeling in your body of like kind of happiness and like love and stuff like that. So that's a very good way to basically get you to basically acknowledge, as a starting point, your energy, like being sensitive to energy. And then, yes, and then the second thing is really, it's related to, like what I do in those Lego Mobo videos where I'm just letting go. And what that is to allow yourself to express negative emotions. So the first thing I introduced to you just now is to do more of what you love, and that involves basically like feeling more positivity. So kind of letting your sensitivity out in a positive way. But then there's also the other way. So if you one thing that could happen is actually like you try and do things you enjoy, and you might find that you can't fully immerse yourself in those things when you have other things to think about. So you realize that basically there's a blockage in there, and in that case you basically launch into your sensitivity by basically going into your negativity, becoming aware of your negativity, like your negative emotions, your fears, your anger, stuff like that. And basically what that entails is you start, I would suggest like journaling, start journaling, or like start talking to yourself like I do. Like I do these sessions where I talk in my car, like I've mentioned, and I just kind of let it out, and just like anything that I'm upset about, anyone that I'm angry at, that kind of thing, I'll just basically let it out and just not judge it. Like, well, the important thing is that you basically you kind of talk it through with yourself. And the more you do that, the more you will become sensitive to how you feel. So those two methods that I just outlined, the first is to follow your passion and your joy, like do more of the things that you love. And the second is to basically acknowledge your negativity and your negative emotions and your fears and anxieties and anger and all of that stuff. The more you do these two things, the more you become aware of your sensitivity, and therefore your sensitivity rises. More and more to the surface of your perception. So that's how you become more sensitive. And it's going to be scary, right? But really, like I mentioned in one of my previous entries, about just why people are insensitive, like why there's this pandemic of people being stuck in their heads, is because like a lot of people have been hurt in the past. A lot of people have succumbed to their fears. Things have happened in the past that have caused them to be hurt, like to be emotionally hurt, and then to suppress that, because that itself is painful. And also basically people who basically they adopt these fears, and these fears start to control their behavior and their thought patterns. So basically, this is the reason why people are insensitive, because like that pain and that fear, it causes you, like, our body's natural response to that is to basically shut down our sensitivity to energy, because it shuts down the pain, right? But then, the side effect is that if you shut down your sensitivity, because I introduced the concept of integration in my logic v emotion entry, and basically, like, if you shut, like, you can't, like, we basically it's what we do, like, subconsciously or otherwise, is we shut down our sensitivity, and we think that basically if we shut down if we shut down our sensitivity, then it is only directed at the negative stuff. Like, it's only directed at our pain. So we think we're shutting down our pain only, but then we like, what ends up happening is we shut down all of our sensitivity. So we stop being happy, we stop being free, we stop being, like, loving, you know, that kind of thing. Like, all of your sensitivity shuts down when we become insensitive, basically. So when we learn to become sensitive, I'm starting to kind of beat around the bush now. When we start to become sensitive, then we start to find parts of ourselves that we've basically buried under the surface. Because, I mean, like, the average person in society, they're kind of like, they have this illusion of awareness. Like, they think that they're awake, and whatever they're doing, they think is, like, you know, the best of them. But when you tune into your sensitivity, then you will realize that there are sides of yourself that you have suppressed. And so every time you have a boost in your sensitivity from doing these kinds of practices, like following your joy and becoming aware of your darkness, your negativity, then basically you'll realize that, like, what you were operating from before you were aware of that stuff is only like a small part of what you actually were. Like, you'll discover a part of yourself that you never knew existed because it was suppressed, right? And so that's really the main reason why you know, I am championing this idea of getting people to get more in touch with their sensitivity. And I'm sure there are loads of other people who are doing a similar thing, but just using kind of different ways of explaining it, different language. But this is really important, so I hope that was helpful. Like, again, the past few days I've been just kind of stuck in my head. I've been doing this organization thing that I mentioned, so it's, yeah, just getting out of my head. So hopefully that was helpful, and yeah, cool. I will see you next time.